Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Mystery Theory podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome and thank you for tuning in today. And today we're going to talk about the chessboard killer. Now, if you've ever heard about this guy, he got the name because at the end, when he was caught, spoiler alert, he they found a chessboard with all the names of the victims and people that he killed. Now, this guy, just like the gorilla killer, had a very bad head injury. Which is something that I'm finding more and more in the different research that I've done, which I'm hoping it has nothing to do with somebody hitting the head really, really hard. But apparently this guy shares that with the gorilla killer. After that, he kind of completely changed. His life completely changed. And it took somebody to believe in him to kind of pull him out for a little bit. And then he just kind of dive back into his bad ways. So I'm going to tell you his story. I'm going to talk about the victims, and hopefully in this video we can kind of go a little bit more deeper into his story and into everything that he did, because I feel like every single thing that I watch about this guy, it's kind of the shorter version. So I'm going to try to give you as many details as I can. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Mystery Theory podcast. Today, we are going to talk about the chessboard killer, which is somebody that I wasn't familiar with, and really his story, once I started reading it, I just couldn't stop. And I guess that's kind of my criteria when I want to share, when I choose the cases that I want to share with you guys. I've been a little bit under the weather, so my voice is probably a little weird, and my dentist decided to take my wisdom away. Now I can blame him, but I also been fighting a cold right after my dentist appointment, so it's kind of interesting how everything came down and how I have a million lights and Christmas decoration to put up, and I just feel like being in bed. However, that is the reason if you hear my voice a little bit weird, but I really wanted to share with you guys this case and see if you heard about it. It's gruesome, so if you don't really, if it's one of those things that will trigger you or make you feel bad or gross you out, maybe this won't be the case for you. But his ways of killing, they're messed up. So I'll tell you everything about it. Now, his name is Alexander Pichushkin, and he was born in Mitsushi, Russia. I'm probably butchering all the names, by the way. And he was born on April 9th, 1974. So somewhat of a younger guy in a recent case. He was a normal and healthy boy, according to his family, until he had an accident. And this accident was kind of freaky because he was swinging. Keep in mind, this is in another country, and he was born in 1974, so I don't know the codes for a park or, the area where the kids play in the park. But apparently he was in the swing and he fell. And he fell back and he tried to hold into the rope of the swing. And apparently he made that worse, and he ended up slamming his head into the pavement. And again, I don't know the safety of that. Playgrounds in different countries. I know that where we live, most of the playgrounds, they have either mulch or they have a kind of rubbery, very soft surface as the floor because of this kind of accident. But again, they had cement underneath, or so he hit his head and he ended up damaging his frontal cortex, which I'm not very familiar the part of the brain that is or what it does for us, but I I shared another. I'm gonna share another video this Friday in my YouTube channel that another serial killer, which was pretty brutal too, and he also had a head injury pretty bad as this one. So after the accident, he changed again, and his mom, she decided that it was a little bit too much to keep him in the same school. So he changed to the point that he was very aggressive, he was very impulsive, and he had like this fits of rage. He would just be enraged by the littlest things. So his mom transferred him to a developmental school for kids with special needs, which I don't know. Again, this was in Russia. I feel like in here in the States, you know, I don't know how to put it. It's a little bit more, it's seen in a way that you need extra help and not like you are not smart enough or you're not, it's different. I feel like here in the States, it's when you go to a developmental school or something for extra help, it's not such a big deal, even though you can still get bullied and stuff like that. Well, apparently this was the worst case scenario for Alexander. He hated the idea to go to this other school. He thought that he wasn't stupid, according to his own words. And not that you have to be stupid. I mean, there's a lot of stupid people in normal schools today, so let's rest that case. But apparently it was not seen in a positive way in his environment. I'm not saying in Russia itself, but in his environment. So he felt very humiliated by it. And I can understand because from where I am from, the kids that would go to special schools, they were seen as not smart. Okay, I'm not saying that is right. I am saying that it's a misconception that sometimes lead those kids to be really I don't know, they just get a lot of bullying. So, and that is just so I can give you an idea, because I feel like, again, here in the States, sometimes that is seen as, okay, you just need extra help, so we're gonna send you to this school. And there will be some kids that will be bullying those other kids, but it's not as prominent as I can remember back home. So just a little side note so you can keep that in mind. So he was very humiliated by it, and which of course made things worse for his family and for himself. And again, he started to get bullied by his previous classmates, which of course they probably lived in the area. They probably live in the same neighborhood, and they noticed that maybe he was taking a different bus, or maybe he was not going to the same school, and he became more and more aggressive. When he was a teenager, his grandpa got him out of that school because he knew that he was a really smart boy. Again, it has nothing to do with being smart, but the grandpa thought that he was too smart to be in that school and that he could do better, and he was wasting his talent in that school for special needs kids. So his grandpa took him out of that school, which I don't know how he did it, but apparently he had the power to do it, and introduced him to chess. Chess is an interesting game, if you ask me. I remember my uncle and my cousins playing it all the time and being really into it. I think you have to have a special gene or something that will make you interested in it to the point that you will spend hours and hours playing that game. I played it, it just wasn't interesting enough to me. But apparently for this guy Alexander, he not only liked the game, but he was very, very good at it. And he started to get it to the point where he would compete, and he managed his aggression that way, which was something very positive. but it was also like some kind of a control game that he was playing. So apparently the grandpa would take him to this park, and they had that, I don't know, maybe community that would go and play chess and compete with each other. So sadly for Alexander, his grandpa died, and he was the only father figure. And again, I don't know what's up with his dad. I don't know where he was. I don't know if he ever was part of his life. But apparently the grandpa was that image. That was he was the one. So when and honestly, quite honestly, a good influence, if you ask me, trying to help me, or help him, I should say, with, kind of channeling his aggression in a better way, and kind of dumping everything into a game for a smart boy that he knew that his grandson was. So anyways, he then got very depressed because of his grandpa dying. He started drinking, like most of the time happens when they go through a traumatic event, and he started getting, of course, angry. And that actually kind of flipped a switch in him, that it was for the worst. So yeah, what happened to him, the accident that he had, it was very, very bad. But I feel like now that he's older and that he's not making the best choices, like drinking and kind of trying to channel his aggression in not so healthy ways, I feel like it got even worse. So he began to take out that anger in the elderly, which, I mean, come on, and the homeless. I think this guy felt so helpless that he needed to hurt people who he thought that were helpless too, or people that were struggling. I don't get it. I mean, let's keep going on. You'll get a better idea. He would offer something to these people. I don't know, maybe money. There were different cases. Sometimes it was money. Sometimes it was some things that they could go and sell for money. And he would gain their trust and then lure them into the park. That park that he used to frequent with his grandpa. So then in some instances, he would just smash a bottle. Sometimes they would he would lure them with alcohol too. So he would smash a bottle and stab them. And by the way, when he did that, to the people that he did that, according to the experts, it was one of the slowest and most excruciating, painful death. So he didn't want to kill them. He wanted to kill them and also make them suffer, which makes it even worse. His killing actually started in 1992 and lasted for 14 years. And he not only killed the homeless, but he also would kill people that he thought it was in need, that he could offer them something to help them, and again gain their trust and take them to a secluded area of the park to stab them, beat them with a hammer, or would just throw them into the sewer lines. I mean, gross, yes, but how can you think of that? I mean, you have to have a very twisted mind in order to feel like, I'm gonna throw this lady into the sewer lines and hope that she dies of an infection, or because he wouldn't kill them and just drop them in the sewer lines. I mean, he would just put them there or push them into the sewer lines. And some people would get really hurt, because I think the area where he was pushing them into the sewer lines, it was about 8 meters long. And some people, especially the elderly or people with disabilities and stuff like that, they would hit their head and die before even reaching the bottom. Some other ones were alive. It's just, I mean, this guy is twisted in many, many ways, but we'll keep going because it doesn't end there. In February of 2002, Maria Vera was one of the lucky ones, and I'm saying that in quotes. She was questioned by the police because she was at the hospital with very unusual injuries. Apparently, she got lost in a sewer line. Okay, first of all, how can you get lost in a sewer line? Second of all, I mean, this lady gave her testimony and it was dropped by the police. I mean, this is a story that she told the police. She told them that she met this guy on the street and they started talking. This lady was pregnant, by the way, something I left out, but I shouldn't have. And she told him that she was struggling with money and that she, needed extra help. So he told her that he had electronics hidden at the park and that he would give it to her so she could sell it and make money. When they started walking towards the park, and when they got there, he told her that they were inside this hole and to look inside to see if she could see them. They struggled for a bit, and then he ended up pushing her, and she fell 8 meters down into the sewer line. Oh, that's all I'm saying. She kept looking for a way out, and according to her testimony to the police, she just didn't want to give up. It was dark. It's not like it's full of lights and that you're seeing what's around you. A sewer line is dark, and don't ask me how I know, but it's just one of those things that, it's not like in the movies, where there's lights here and there are rats all over. Probably rats are somewhere there, but what I'm saying is that there is not, she probably didn't have a flashlight to look around. So it makes it very, very hard for you to see exactly where you are, which you probably can smell it, but then how to get out of that, I feel for this lady, but she told the police that she wanted to get out and she wanted to survive because of her baby. And apparently after hours, she found an iron ladder. That is how, she climbed out, and thankfully she was healthy enough. She didn't break a leg or something while she was falling or when she made it down. So, she could climb the stairs and go to the hospital. Okay, you'd think that, where's this guy? And, police are going to be all over it. Well, not really. They weren't all over it. And they dismissed her case, as I mentioned before. Now, let's fast forward to the spring of 2006, when the police found the body of a 36-year-old woman, a mother actually, and her name was Marina Moskulyova. I'm probably butchering that too, but she was a young mother who later on the police discovered that had a date with Alexander. Now you probably wonder, how did they figure that out? Well, the police found a metro ticket in her pocket, and they decided to check the cameras at the metro station. So they found Marina, who was headed to the park with the guy. And this guy, he is, because he's still alive, he's something else. He was carrying the murder weapon, which, by the way, they do not give so many details on what happened to her, or at least I couldn't find something in the research that I did. But apparently he was carrying the murder weapon with him, so it was probably not a gun. It was probably something that he used to probably hit her or something like that. That wouldn't look suspicious, because who's gonna walk in the metro station with a handgun that will be able to be seen in a surveillance camera, especially if you're going to commit a crime. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm assuming it was something that not necessarily was a gun. So the catch in this was that the son of the victim the, and again, I'm not sure if this was the mom or if this was Alexander's writing, but apparently he had the information of Alexander with a phone number in details in case of an emergency. Now, I am assuming that the mom did this as a precaution for the kid, not even for her, but for the kid, because I don't think that he would have given this information so willingly to this kid, and especially knowing that she was going to end up dead. But again, they don't clarify that information. He was arrested on June 16, 2006, because, of course, all this evidence led to his arrest. And he was convicted, and listen to this, for 49 murders, 3 attempt murders, including the one with the pregnant lady. And this was in October 24th, on October 24th of 2007. That's when he got convicted of all that. Now, the police decided to go search this guy's place. And what they found, and that's why he gets the name the Chessboard Killer, is that they found a chessboard with multiple squares written on, symbolizing the age of each one of the victims that he murdered. Now, he ended up helping the police at the end to find the bodies of each one of the victims at the park, and he also gave the details on how each one of them died. Because of this information, a lot of reported missing people were found. Sadly, they were killed by this guy, but at least, the families that were looking for these family members that were missing, at least they knew that, where they were, as sad as it is. During the trial, this is something that I found that it was very interesting. During trial, he was put in, I don't know, they call it a glass cage, where he was behind this glass because of his own protection. So I don't know how the courts look in Russia. I'm assuming it looks pretty much the same as they look here, and I don't know what kind of security they have there. And but apparently they were scared for this guy's life, so they put him there. And if you Google it, it's interesting. But okay, he was sentenced to life in prison with the first, and this is creepy. I mean, I'm not saying that this guy doesn't deserve it, but the first 15 years he was in solitary confinement. Can you just picture that? I can't. I would go crazy. Not that I would do anything to get that, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying. 15 years in solitary confinement. Yeah, this guy was a piece of work, but I wonder if he's a little bit cuckoo by now. Now, he remains there, of course, and in jail, that's what I'm saying. But the first 15 years after he was convicted, so let's say he was convicted on 2017 would be 10 years. Well, he's probably still in solitary confinement by now. I don't know. How can you tell the time, and how can you live that way? But I guess that is, what he deserves. He took advantage of the people that needed an extra hand and that needed help, which, by the way, it's kind of weird because he was that person. He needed somebody, and he lost his grandpa, and now he has nobody that believes in him. So he decides to trick people into believing that he was a friend and he was going to help, and then killing them. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And that just goes to show us that it doesn't matter, the childhood, who believes in you, how smart you are. It really, I believe there must be something in the people that is able to commit these horrible crimes and inflict pain, not only in the victims, killing them in the most awful ways, but also in the families. And that, I don't know, it bothers me that I don't know what it is that they have, that they think that's the way to fix their problems. I'm just assuming that. Why else would he do that? How can you find pleasure, or how can you get something good out of something so horrible? It really doesn't make sense in my mind. So I'm thankful that it doesn't make sense, because if it would make sense in my head, I would be worried. Probably going to psychiatrist or something. But I just don't get it. I feel like people sometimes make horrible choices because of how they feel. And that is, you can make very poor choices because of how you feel. Sometimes you're just going through a bad time and you just have to keep pushing on and wait until you feel better in order to, I don't even know, like, choose something to do, about it. I feel like a lot of the suicides, and I just feel like it's just because they're going through a dark place. But and I don't know, maybe these people managed the dark place in a horrible way, in a way that they didn't hurt themselves, but they hurt somebody else. And I'm not putting them in the same category. I'm saying that we all go through different things and we deal with them in different ways. Some people will get depressed. Some people will get stronger. Some people would do horrible things like this guy did. Some people have so much pain that they just take their lives. And we what I'm trying to get to is that we all go through pretty messed up stuff, but we're all different. We have some similar things, but we're all different, and we deal with them in a different way. So I wonder how this guy was dealing with what was dealt to him and the cards of life, and why. I mean, it bothers me. Sometimes I lay in bed and wonder all these things. Why? And I guess I don't have the answer, and I guess that's why I'm always researching cases and trying to go behind the cases a little bit more and go into the experts' opinions and the psychology side and the psychiatrist side of, things. And I guess that's part of who I am. I'm curious to know a lot of things, and this happens to be one of them. But there is no excuse. I mean, all those families, and I don't care if they were homeless. I don't care if they had no families. I don't care. They were people that probably were in need. A lot of the homeless here where I live, a lot of them, they did like a little survey thing, but I think it reflected over 67% of the homeless that in this area have some kind of a mental illness. And they could, it doesn't mean that they were born with it. It means that sometimes, they went to war, and some others have dementia. And so how can you take advantage of that, people? I mean, how can you find it in your heart to do that? And I remember what was it? I think I was in California. Yeah, when was it that I went to California? Gosh, I can't even remember. I'm going crazy. But if you remember, there was a guy killing homeless people underneath the Santa Monica pier. He would dump the bodies there. Ugh. And he was only attacking the homeless. So, come on. I mean, nobody deserves to be attacked or killed. But it enrages me that you are taking advantage of the weakest people, the ones that, and I don't know the percentage of people with mental illness that are homeless in LA or in California in general. And I do know that there's a lot of homeless people. And truth be told, there were a few instances I was at the beach at night. And not at the beach, in the parking lot of the beach, getting ready to leave or whatever. And there were quite a few interesting faces there. But so I'm not saying that every single homeless person probably have some kind of a mental illness. I'm just saying that not all of them, just because they live in the streets, they're bad people. I'm just saying that there is a big population. And again, I don't know in California what the percentages are, but here in Utah, I think in this Salt Lake area, they did that 67%. And I'm like, what? And I think that most of them, I think over 70%, and I'm just trying to remember, they were elderly. And then there's, of course, those young guys or girls. That is the other percentage. But the sewer was too much for me in this case. Sorry, it was too much. The fact that he preyed on the weak and needy people that he knew would follow him in order to get some money to survive, it just bothers me. And I'm not going to get in an argument about how homeless people are this or that. I'm not talking about homelessness in this. I'm just talking about human beings in different positions and different lifestyles. And so I don't know. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below what you thought about it. This was one of those guys that I tried to wrap my head around for about a week, trying to figure him out, but apparently I'm left empty again. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you come back next Wednesday, where I'm going to share with you another very interesting case, true crime case, and I hope that you join me again. Thanks for listening or watching on YouTube, and I will see you back soon. Bye, guys. So, yes, I mean, this is a pretty recent case compared to the one that I shared with you last Monday. Can you even imagine being dumped into a sewer line? I mean, that is a pretty, I was going to say crappy way of dying, but it's not funny. It's just, I would have never thought of that. And this guy, I mean, the ways that he did things were brutal, were inhumane. They were just, I don't know. There must have been something really wrong with him. Something that nothing can explain it. So I really feel bad for all the victims that fell for the games of this guy, who basically, I don't know, was preying in the people, in the population that was really needing somebody. And which breaks my heart, because when nobody believed in him, his grandpa did, and pulled him out of that school and taught him how to play chess and taught him how to be better. And And so now he's preying on the people that, you know, do need somebody to believe in them or maybe lend a hand, and he was just taking advantage of that. So in my mind, it really bothers me. But anyways, let me know what you think about it, if you ever heard of this case. I know that it was a requested video by 2 different people, so thank you so much for requesting this case. I didn't know about him, and I just think that with this case, it kind of opened a different door in a different direction completely of everything that I've been sharing before. I mean, his ways were completely different, and of course very, very sad. So again, thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you back soon.